This chapter is the first dance. So Mr. Hartley asked him, well, I guess you could spend the weekend with us and get to the get acquainted dance. And Travis said, oh, no, I don't know how to dance. I've never done that. And Mr. Hartley said, oh, they will show you how. There'll be sponsors there. Everybody will do it. You just must go. And so Travis said, well, I don't know how to dance. And Miss Hartley said, Travis, you just come right over from school and I will teach you. We will just cut the rug here in the living room. Well, thanks, Miss Hartley. I just don't want to be stumbling over you. Well, anyway, the dance had been on Travis's mind for some time, and he thought, well, he'd been homeschooled, hadn't been around people. He was worried about this dance, but she said she would help him. Miss Hartley was a sweet little old lady. And so she was waiting for him when he got home from school the next day, and they got everything out of the way and pulled the shades down in the living room so no one could see what was going on. And Travis felt a little silly dancing with this tiny little old lady in the middle of the day. But anyway, she wouldn't have any of that. She began to pull him here and there. And she said, now, Travis, there are 3 kinds of dances. There's a 2-step, which you'll have to do if you're in Texas now. It's called the Texas two-step. And we'll do a little bit of waltzing, and we'll teach you more than one kind of dance. So Travis found that learning to dance was almost as challenging as playing football. But Miss Hartley didn't let him down. She made, here, Travis, I'll be the girl and I'll show you where to pull and push. And she did. For a little old lady, she certainly was exacting. And after they had worked for a while, Travis was panting harder than his teacher, and she finally called a resting spot, and so they plopped down on the couch, and she said, Travis, you nearly knocked me out. I haven't danced so hard in years. I really had so much fun. Well, it was fencing. And then since she had said this to him, Travis felt he could confess to her, and he said, well, I might confess, when I first came to you, I was very much afraid of you. Afraid of me? Miss Hartley said, laughing out loud. Well, Travis, I should take that as a compliment. I don't suppose anyone else has ever been afraid of me before. Why were you afraid? Well, I thought you might ask me to play Mozart. Miss Hart laughed, and the little locket that jingled on her chest. Travis, I must confess to you, I was afraid of you. Afraid of me? Well, I'm just a kid. Well, I was afraid you might rock the rafters with CDs of obscene lyrics of the Grateful Dead and 2IST, or whatever they call themselves these days. Well, if I had a CD, I might plague your ears with Willie Nelson or Leroy Parnell, but not the Grateful Dead. Travel, do you know what I would do if I was not here taking care of you and Mr. Hartley? I would be a piano player in a bar. I would play cheerful music and let all the down and outers come and sob their stories to me while I tinkled away on the piano. Why, Miss Hartley, I can't picture you drinking in a bar. Oh, I wouldn't be drinking, Travis. I'd just be listening to their stories and cheering them up with my music. But there's one thing that worries me. About playing in a bar? No, not playing in a bar, but being fat enough to qualify to play in a bar. People are more comfortable with fat people. When I was last time in New Orleans at Pat O'Brien's, a famous watering hole down there, and I wanted to play one of those grand pianos so bad, but I hadn't the courage to shove one of those big fat ladies off and let me get at the keyboard. Now, how much sillier can you be than that? Well, not much, Travis agreed. Well, Mr. Hartley came in the door and said, what are you laughing about? Well, Travis and I have been confessing to each other. It's kind of personal, and we won't tell you. Kind of stupid, Travis admitted. We're both afraid of each other. So, at the day of the dance, Mr. Hartley drove Travis almost to the school, but he let him off so Travis could walk and they wouldn't see him getting out of a car with somebody else driving it. So things did keep moving, and the first partner they paired Travis with was not Elizabeth Reese, that beautiful girl who sat next to him in his English class, but a chubby girl named Nellie. He never remembered seeing her before, but it was obvious from her chunky torso that she was kind of scared too, so she said, I don't know how to dance. Well, Travis felt like a martyr as he tried to teach her. Well, let's just stumble along here together. I'll try not to step on your feet, but you'll probably trip on mine. So after a moment, Nellie's shoulders relaxed and he could push her around on the floor. And when the dance was over, she said shyly, well, thanks for dancing with me. I'll always remember my first dance with you. Well, Travis felt a real heel because he didn't really want her to know that he didn't really want to dance with her. This fat girl in flat sandals whose nails were not painted. But what could he say? Don't mention it. And then it came to him. I'm glad you remember me. I bet you would be a great piano player one of these days. Well, finally, he got to dance with Elizabeth Reese, who was sat next to him in English class. She was standing over by the water fountain, and there was no other guy within 10 feet. And so he said, well, hi, she said. Well, hi, Travis said. Neither could think of anything else to say, and finally his courage came up, and he said, want to dance? I'm not very good. Elizabeth giggled. He said, I might step on your toe. And she giggled, they've already been stepped on a dozen times tonight. So with Elizabeth in his arms, Travis didn't even have to count as he moved his feet about the floor. They just seemed to float, and Elizabeth's brown hair swung about his face as they reeled and turned. And when the dance was over, Travis let go of her hand as slowly as he could. See you in class on Monday. Oh, yes, I guess you will, she said, and was gone, swallowed up in that moving mass of young dancers on the floor. Well, he didn't stay for the end of the dance. He decided to walk on home. There was no need to stay. He had floated across the store with Elizabeth in his arms, and he floated home with the perfume of her hair in his nostrils. And when he let himself into the house, into his room, he was still dizzy. He lay on his bed wide awake with a queer feeling in his stomach, or maybe it wasn't his stomach, and it would stay with him there forever.